نستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. All right. Uh, Another episode. I don't know how many episodes this is. R2F News, in which we're going to go through some news from around the world, Muslim world, R2F world, whatever it might be, and try to give some information and a little bit of insight, inshallah. So, but that's it. Okay. First things first here. We have the Sheikh Mohammed Hassan Al-Dido, who says that Donald Trump's statement on Gaza are a declaration of war against the Muslims. And Alhamdulillah, may Allah bless the Sheikh. But I really want, the reason why I started with this is because I want people to actually, I don't want to say don't listen to the Sheikh, but kind of separate this thing from it being a war against the Muslims just for a moment so that we can actually understand what's going on. I think it has been such an emotional thing, and there's lots of emotion involved in, why aren't the Muslims doing more, and how could this be happening, and all these things. And those things are valid. Those thoughts and those feelings, the sentiment is valid. But in order for us to really be able to understand what's going on, what's happening, why it's happening, and then from there be able to see how there's going to be a successful resolution for the Muslims, is to actually not look at any of the players involved as Muslim per se. And I'm not saying this to say that any of these governments or government leaders or any of these countries are non-Muslim countries. It's not what I'm saying. But just to understand what's happening, separate the Islam from it, and just look at the players and how they're operating. And then I think you can understand who's doing what, why they're doing what, and then you can expect for the players to do certain things without, adding the Islam element into it, and then getting emotional about it and thinking, well, they're Muslim, so therefore they should operate like the Muslims should, or if Rasulullah was in a situation, or some of the Khulafa al-Rashidin were in a situation, how they would act. And so we can't really apply that to some of the players, and this is what I'm trying to get at. So may Allah bless the Sheikh, but let's separate them being Muslim countries, any of these surrounding countries being Muslim. Let's just look at the players involved, why they do what they do, and then we can understand what they're going to do next and what they're probably going to continue to do until some other type of countries are in place. So
absolutely, and it's not really a religious aspect; it's more of a human aspect. So these people who are kings or presidents of these countries, they're going to act in what they believe to be their own self-interest and that of their people. So they're not going to identify as, hey, they view this as this is an attack on Palestinians, not on Egyptians or Libyans or whoever the hell else. So that's how they view it from their standpoint. It's not a united front. We're not all together.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next thing up is, Israel receives a shipment of heavy bombs held up by Biden. So for the Muslims, and like we said before, lots of Muslims, for some reason, they like to vote. They want to vote. They vote for one president over another, thinking something's going to change. Now, just understand what's going on here. Israel received a U.S. shipment of heavy bombs that were held up by Biden. So some of the Muslims, their rationale for saying we're not going to vote for Biden, we're going to vote for Trump, because Trump is supposed to be a friend of the Muslims, and Biden is, he's a friend of Israel, and he's helping them, and he's dropping bombs and all this. So here we have these bombs were held up and they were not shipped, and they blame Biden. He's holding up the shipment of bombs so that Israel can keep doing what they're doing. However, what does Trump, the friend of the Muslims, does? As soon as he gets in office, he expedites the heavy bombs and all these things that Joe Biden, for whatever reason, wasn't sending to Israel. So I say this to say so as to get an understanding that it doesn't matter who's in office. They're going to do pretty much the same things, and even thinking one is your friend over the other or more friendly or not is a foolish thing, and this is just an example of that.
Absolutely. Uh, just any non-Muslim billionaire, or even just billionaires in general, they're mostly always terrible folks, terrible human beings. So for Joe Biden or for Trump or Kamala, whoever, they're typically going to be terrible human beings. At the end of the day, behind closed doors, we're all on the same side. So I don't know why you expect something different from these folks. They're all on Epstein's island or Diddy's party. Like they're gonna be in the same places. I'm sorry.
Basically. And so moving on, and this is something that come across my Twitter feed. And of course, before we get into this, I know what some people are probably thinking. Oh, how can you believe him? Oh, we don't necessarily believe anything that's saying. We just have to go by, like I said, separate the fact that any of these players are, one religion or another. Just look at what's going on. So if we look at this first, we will say that we know the ayah in which Allah says that if a fasiq comes to you with information that is, verified, right? فَتَبَيَّنُوا. We know and understand that. So we're not just taking this information as it's right. No matter what, we got it. We're taking it to the bank. We're not looking at it as they are truthful, but we look at the information and then weigh it against other things. So an Israeli spy, Elizabeth Surkov, revealed that 12 Syrian rebel groups were directly funded by Israel. Okay, so this is what she says. So, and even if we look at the IDF's, website or whatever, Times of Israel, not IDF website, but Times of Israel, this is their boy, this is their situation. IDF chief finally acknowledges that Israel supplied weapons to Syrian rebels. So now, the Syrian rebels are who? The people who allegedly ousted Bashar al-Assad, right? And miraculously, and we won't get into all the details of that, but they, after years of fighting against Bashar al-Assad, they won. And Jolani, who is their leader, he has another name now, but that's what I know him as, Jolani, for years. Okay, so he's still Jolani to me, but. So their leader, they're in charge. The Syrian rebels are who the IDF chief and this Israeli spy are saying that they funded at least 12 different rebel groups who were fighting against Assad, right? So now you might say, no, these were just this righteous mujahideen. Maybe they were. I'm not saying that they're not. But sometimes everybody in a group or everybody in a country, every citizen is not necessarily the same as the leader or the government or the people pulling the strings. But the fact remains, or at least it appears, that Israel was funding and sending them weapons. So I'll ask you, Sheikh Amr, why do you think Israel was sending, and I'll give you multiple choice. Why do you think Israel would be sending these groups weapons? Is it because they wanted them to take over the world and implement Sharia? Or B, that they were hoping for it to benefit Israel in some way?
B, and you see this all the time with literally every foreign power that gets intervened in the Middle East or Africa, right? Is you plant seeds of dissension amongst the ranks. And so you'll have these rebel groups, right? You'll fund them to hopefully overthrow it and cause chaos. And this is why Africa's in shambles, because whenever someone from Africa has ideas of saving Africa and kicking out the Europeans, they just magically just get assassinated somehow.
Every time. It happens every time. So
like, wow.
Now, yeah, so if you think about this, and so what should happen if we are correct in that? Well, it's not about being correct or not. If Israel was sending these weapons to these rebel leaders who are now in charge, they are now in charge of the government. They have overthrown Assad, and now they're the leaders. They're in charge. So all you have to do is just look, forget about whether they're Muslim or not, or type of Muslim, or they're Salafi, Sufi, whatever you want to call them. Now just look at what they do. Do they operate as people who are friends or allies or in partnership in some way with Israel? Or do they operate another way? Now we just have to keep watching and seeing. And then you can look at this information about them saying that they supplied them with weapons or whatever. Basically, what they're implying is that they helped them to take over. And of course, they're expecting some sort of benefit out of that. So if it looks like this new Syrian government is doing things that are, at the very least, not detrimental to Israel or in some way beneficial, then you can acknowledge that perhaps the country, the new Syrian government, is more of an ally, a friend, a partnership, whatever you want to call it, with Israel. It's just something that we just have to come to grips with.
Yep, it's the sad reality. And if they don't be pro-Israel, maybe on the low, guess what? The same way they got in there, the same way they're gonna leave. Right?
I mean, it's just yeah. I mean, basically. And so, before we go to this next clip, I want to preface this by saying that I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, why can't the Muslims just rise up and do X, Y, Z and mobilize or whatever?" And I'm sure when Allah decides for that to happen, it will happen. The Muslims will be victorious in the end. Right now, we're kind of being dog walked. Let's just be honest. We're getting busted up pretty bad everywhere, so one of the things is that a lot of the Muslims' armies just are not formidable, and I think that's intentional, where the Muslim armies and militaries of these Muslim countries are not nearly as strong and well trained and well equipped as a lot of the Western governments. And that's not to say that that's what they need to win, because of course Allah is the one who determines who wins or not. But training does matter, and the Muslims should be better trained. And this next clip is not necessarily a Muslim country per se, but there's lots of Muslims in this country, and I'll just give you a glimpse of the training that some of these countries have. So I'm gonna go to this clip right here. I hope we can see it. I'm gonna try to play it. Okay, let me see. Tell me if you can hear it.
You can't hear it, but it's
and so.
Hey. Not Nigeria.
Now this is Nigeria. I mean, listen, I love my Nigerian Muslim friends and family. I really do. But I mean, look at this. I mean, so I mean, they're parachuting, and they don't even look at this guy. He's landing in a regular. They're falling on top of cars. I mean. And this is the military. These are the people.
Listen, this kid is for training, so hopefully, inshallah, they get better. But to Mark's point about like the Muslim nations being weak power-wise, right? And I have to look this up later, but I'm pretty sure Pakistan is the only Muslim country in the world that has nuclear power. Not a single other Muslim country has nuclear power.
And listen, Pakistan says they have nuclear power, but
you never know. Nuclear power in India over there.
We really don't know. But I mean, so.
That claim to have it, so like,
yeah. But unfortunately, this is the state of some of the opposition. Which, I mean, listen, I know people are going to make me fun or whatever, but the thing is, I mean, this is reality, and so I say, hey, listen, if we can't do anything right now, right, at least be ready, be capable, be competent, be well trained at the very least. And it's looking like it's a work in progress. May Allah help us. I mean,
better.
The next thing is, let me see. Oh yeah, this guy here, and which I thought was interesting, and Egyptian tribal leader Ibrahim al-Orghani, okay, I think that's his name, has become synonymous with unofficial profits made out of suffocating the Gaza blockade, particularly from desperate Palestinians attempting to flee fighting. So basically, I don't know. I had the link here, but basically in the story, basically he's charging up to $20,000 and in bribes to get trucks and different things through. So this is one of the guys that's basically a tribal leader, and he has some power in the region. And don't think that he's able to do anything without at least what's the Abdul Fattah al-Sisi, the Egyptian president or whatever he is, but it really doesn't matter who the players are. But just think of things like this going on, where you have people who are desperately sending money and resources over every time you turn on the any sort of social media. There's advertisements and appeals to help support Gaza and his things, and then you have people like this who are, they're getting a lion's share of the of some of the profits or some of the proceeds by doing things like this. And so you have on the one hand people attacking the Muslims, you have on the other hand Muslims not doing much, and then you have, I guess, Muslims
extorting
that do things like this.
Taking advantage of it. Also, I mean, not to judge him personally, but like a Muslim man, no beard.
Hey, listen, I mean, hey, my teachers would say, if you ain't got a beard, you can't trust him. So I'll leave it there. And so then you have, like, on the other hand, that's why I say all these and so when I mentioned this story here where India is going to receive billions in U.S. weapons, including F-35 stealth jets. Now, one thing that I try to remind the Muslims of all the time is that what's happening in Gaza is not exclusive. There's lots of Muslims that are being abused and oppressed and massacred and genocided in various places. Lots of places in Asia as well. And India is one of those places where you have Kashmir, and, probably every week at least, there are Muslims just being absolutely decimated in India. And you have the U.S., who is just giving India billions of dollars in weapons, including jets or whatever. So we'll probably revisit this story down the road and show how, these, they're allies and friends of one another. As the law says, they are allies and friends of each other. And so we shouldn't, get too emotional one way or the other, but just look at what they're doing. We ask Allah for their help, but we know that we shouldn't be expecting anything differently than what we're actually seeing take place. And so what makes people Muslim or not is not just them saying they're Muslim, but also your actions have to follow up. So the people whose actions are in sync, then they're going to be, at the very least, allies. And as Allah says, Allah is the ally of the believers, and the disbelievers are allies of each other. So I'll leave it there. Next, and this kind of these next two is I just found interesting. So Saudi Arabia is going to host an Arab summit to discuss Trump's Gaza takeover plan. And there was another clip I forgot to add it where one of the speakers or somebody in the government for one of the Middle East governments or whatever said he didn't even see any other alternative to Trump's plan to take over Gaza. Right? Okay, so you have Saudi Arabia is going to host an Arab summit where they're going to discuss Trump's Gaza takeover plan. Now let's look at that. I'm not even going to make that much commentary. Let's just look at what they're going to discuss it. The UAE says they don't even see an alternative to what Trump proposed, which is taking it over and making it a resort or whatever, and kicking them out. Now, this guy, who is a prime minister from Spain, he's not even Muslim. And he says Spain will not allow Trump to displace Palestinians from Gaza. He said it straight up. So, I mean, just think about this. You have now, maybe I understand some people might say, yeah, of course, he's in Spain. He's just saying that for whatever, but he's not even really in the mix. He doesn't have anything to do with it. He can say whatever. It's not like he's right on the border or something like that, or they're not even thinking about him. Okay, maybe. But Just look. You have, some countries who are close, maybe relatives, cousins, whatever you want to call it, who are saying either there's no alternative, we don't have an alternative, or hey, let's discuss it. And you have some random, you know, prime minister from Spain who has at least the backbone to say we're not going to allow it. So we'll look and see if going forward he puts his money where his mouth is. But for now, at least he's saying the right things.
Absolutely, because if you think about it, Spain famously 1492 expelled all Muslims from Andalusia. They said no more. All right, so for it to be 500 years later, however long, and Muslims like, yeah, we don't really care about what's happening right now, in Jerusalem as a whole. It's kind of sad to see for as a whole, and also a conference. We're gonna have a conference. You guys are gonna come together and have a banquet and food and entertainment. It's like, all right, sorry, let's figure it out. It's tough.
Yeah. Imagine I come to your house and I'm like, okay, I'm kicking you out of here. I'm taking your food. I'm taking your best steak knives or whatever. Like, I'm taking everything, and I'm probably gonna turn your house into a restaurant or a Starbucks or something. But yeah, I'm kicking you out, and then you say, you know what? Let's discuss it. What? I mean, the only appropriate response would be what Spain actually said. We're not going to allow it. I mean, for you to literally, after I tell you, I'm taking what you have, you say, hey, let's discuss this. I mean, what's going on here? It doesn't make any sense.
We can talk it out. Come to understanding me and you,
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But so that's the thing. Moving on, and listen, I put Elon into the same category as, these Trump people. Listen, Elon Musk is a tool, just like Trump is a tool, just like Biden's a tool. They're all in the same. So the reason why I included this story and I want people to pay attention is because if you remember when Twitter was Twitter and now it's X, but whenever Elon Musk bought it, the narrative was that he bought Twitter for allowing unrestricted free speech. Mm-hmm. Right? That was the platform he ran on. And everybody was like, yeah, now that Elon Musk has Twitter, it's just going to be free speech. And now here it is where Elon Musk agrees to let, basically not just the U.S. government, which they were the reason why Elon Musk was buying Twitter was because the U.S. government did this when they wanted to elect Biden or whatever, or to when he was in office, was they censored a lot of accounts and they community noted a lot of people and did all these things to basically sway public opinion. So Turkey and the Saudi and all these different governments, they all do this. They China is famous for it. I don't even think they can have YouTube or Twitter or anything over there. I guess they got TikTok, but the point is every government does this. And Elon Musk was supposed to be the poster child for not allowing them to do that. Yet, here we go. So regardless, if you see anybody with a lot of money, power, influence, leadership in some of these governments, you had better believe that they are just part of a bigger system. They're not going to get that big or powerful or rich without actually being controlled by people who are bigger, more powerful, more rich that you don't know. And not to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, but I mean, it's just the truth.
It's not a conspiracy. Also, I've always thought Elon Musk was an idiot. I'll call that from day one. I've been telling people this for a long time. He's not smart. He's definitely a puppet for the Zionist Yahudi. And his whole platform of, I'm gonna have free speech for everyone. Really, Elon before he bought Twitter was being clowned left and right. And after he got Twitter bought it for himself, he's just been blocking accounts left and right because all he does is get clowned. Like Elon is just a loser, and I don't care how much money you have or what you assess. At the end of the day, you're still you. So Elon, you're always going to be a loser. All right, you can have all the money you ever live. You're still going to be that loser guy. You're not cool. Right? I'm sorry, bro. You're a loser.
Yeah, he's the biggest dork, and trust me, I got lots of smoke for Eli coming down the pike. But right now we'll let him have it. But yeah, Elon or Eli, whatever his name is, he's a fraud in a lot of ways. But this is just one example that you just can't listen. You can't take at face value what any of these people say, any of them, any of the governments, any of the politicians, any of the leaders, any of the people, any of these rich people. You have to just look at what they do and then don't forget it. Sometimes they do these things and then you forget, like, but, or maybe because it's Turkey, you think, oh, well, that's over there in Turkey. What do we care? It'll be here soon enough.
Yeah, it's gonna affect
soon enough.
It's already happening too with the whole TikTok ban.
Yeah. And so the next thing, and this is, I think, well, is this connected or not? See, the thing is, this in this story, they revoked a Turkish, citizens his visa over a Hamas document that was found on his phone. So, they like, it depends on, like, if you go on Telegram in these places, they send, like, the speeches or whatever it might be. Who knows what it was, but basically, because this was found on his phone, he was stopped in the airport or whatever. Long story short, and so then they revoked his visa, and he was a businessman, so the UK revoked his visa. But the reason why I mentioned this story is because a lot of people want to be activists or protesters or whatever it might be, and this is one reason why I don't want to say I'm anti-protest, but I think it's a waste of time. And I think it's, you have things like this where your speaking up does absolutely nothing, in most instances. You can bring awareness to something, but protesting in the street, stopping traffic, or doing those things, or, being in a country like UK, especially you're on a visa, and this is just really the people who I'm getting at. Like, for us, we're citizens here in this country. I mean, they probably don't want us here either, but it'll cause too much trouble for them to throw us out. So we can kind of say just about anything. Yeah. We can say more than somebody, like, if you're here on a visa or whatever. Nah, you can't be. Yeah, you can't just, he had a business, he was doing all the things. So just pay attention and be careful. Be careful, brothers and sisters. Okay, so now we got through all the geopolitics out of the way. We got through, some of the games that all these governments play. I want to get into some heartwarming stuff. Or at least get close to some heartwarming stuff. I mean, just tell me, wouldn't you rather lighten the mood up a little bit?
No.
Well, we're going to. So now this really warmed my heart.
Oh yeah, I saw that in Hatchet this year. I was like, mashallah, tabarakallah. All right, this is just beautiful.
I mean, so the Quran burner, Salwan Momika's body was burned in Sweden after no one came forward to claim it. I mean. That just warms my heart. I'm feeling warm and fuzzy already.
Poetic justice, all right?
I mean, what a loser. I mean, it's like these, Quran burners, they pop up every once in a while. I do not, like, even if someone came outside of my house, like, I'm going to burn the Quran, I would go back inside and go to sleep.
Like, have fun, buddy.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about anyone burning the Quran. They're gonna get their due. I mean, it was another guy. I mean, there's every one of these guys that always winds up. These people who try to do it publicly, they always wind up with a horrible death. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't someone gun him down or something? I think I don't know how he died. But the point is that nobody even wanted his body. And, I feel like that the Muslims who they get out there and they want to riot, and how dare could he do this? Leave him. Allah's going to deal with these people, and he's an example.
In due time, he will be cooked. And I think it's funny that when the Christians and other religions, like Muslims, are so extreme. No, it's because y'all religion is a joke at this point in time. Y'all don't take it seriously. So, like, when the Olympics have the whole, like, mockery of Isa ibn Maryam, and he's, like, gay and stuff inside the area portrayals, you guys are just fine with it. We would never allow that to happen with Muslims. So step up. Right? So nice to burn down, all right? Crispy, charred. Mark the left.
Yeah. And I hope I'm sure he was allowed to feel every last bit. But that's the end result usually of these type of people, man. The next thing is I know right now you don't have any kids, so you don't have to worry about this. But for those of us who do have I won't say how many, but
You got 2 minutes.
do have children. Everybody knows I got 9 kids. Okay.
MashaAllah.
But but soon you'll have to deal with this too. And this is the thing that I'll just comment on this. Indonesia plans to regulate a minimum age for social media users to protect children, according to its communication minister. And I think I remember I didn't even start using a phone like a cell phone until I was at least 20, which maybe that was back in the day. Cell phones weren't really that
I
popular,
was 18, so I mean,
but to me, I really feel like, especially for Muslim children, and I'll say that I gave one of my children a phone, bought him a phone, just because I was like, yeah, it'd be helpful for communication or whatever. But now that I see after about a year that it's actually detrimental in a lot of ways. It's more detrimental than it is beneficial. And he's 12 years old. So actually, I won't be getting any of my children any phones. I mean, unless they when they leave the house, like they go out, get married, and they're going to work or something like that, or they need the phone for work. But I'll never buy another child a phone. And the phone that I did get to one child, I'm going to actually take it from him. If he watches the show, which he doesn't, but if he watches the show, he's going to know his phone is about to get taken.
why? No, I feel like as a parent, you have to look at the negative aspects of social media as a whole. And for most people online, at least at a younger age, right? You can bring yourself to others online. You're exposed to all kinds of just foolishness, drama, even just gory stuff nowadays. Like nowadays on Twitter, like I can scroll to the feed and there's a dead kid, and like as a young kid, I don't think kids should see that. So I feel like that's for kids of all ages to avoid that.
I mean, there is for several reasons. I think for one, I know for me myself, I'm an adult with a bunch of children, and for me myself, I have to put, an app on my phone that actually doesn't let me to scroll social media for more than 2 minutes. Like at 2 minutes, it kicks me off the app. It kicks me off of Twitter. It kicks me off of YouTube. It kicks me off of Instagram or anything, just because it literally will just suck all your time out. So
especially at work.
Yeah, and so I have it like I have it 2 minutes set. So yeah, after 2 minutes, bam, locks up, kicks you off. And I have to do that for myself because I'll just, I'll be watching, pimple popping videos for 45 minutes just because, it's like, so doom scrolling. Yeah, exactly. So that's one thing. But I think especially on Twitter and Instagram, it's like one click left or right or one way, you can wind up in a rabbit hole of who knows what. I mean, just like, it's like, especially the bots now on Twitter is just ridiculous where under just a random post about whatever you got, all the, the OF people bots, just, it's like, man, where are y'all coming from? Like,
it's like, but this is a post about basketball. Why are you here?
Yeah, why are you here?
I'm trying to watch
it's like, you like, oh wow, great dunk by Jaylen Brown, and under the post is like, oh, you can dunk me. Like, what
shout out to Elon Musk, listen, because it wasn't like that before Elon got here.
Yes, Elon Musk. That's why I'm telling you. This, like I said, I got lots of smoke for Elon because he's a joke, and this is one of the things where they have allowed these type of things, and it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that before he got here. Now it's just like, 90% of the engagement is just it's that type of thing. And so I'm like, I don't think I don't want my kids involved in it at all. I just don't think it's beneficial. So long story short, the minimum age for my children will be when you have a home of your own. Otherwise, they won't be having any social media accounts or whatever, of their own. so that's that. Yeah. So now this is not a heartwarming story, but it is something that I do have to bring attention to. Listen, I love all of my Muslim brothers and sisters. I do. And Amr, Sheikh, I know that you have traveled internationally.
Yes.
And I have as well. And the problem with this, and this story says children among 18 killed in a stampede at a New Delhi train station in India. And I'm not picking on the Indian people or Indian Muslims, lots of Indian Muslim brothers and sisters that I know, but we have to call a spade, and we have to be direct. One thing that I hate about traveling throughout the Muslim world
is strange.
is not even the trains. It's just the manners. They act like this the last train or bus or plane or whatever in the world. They don't know how to line up in a line. They don't know how to, at least give you your personal space. They act like there's only one seat on this plane, and they will trample you to get it when everyone has an assigned seat. It drives me crazy how bad, even in Saudi, even in the Haram, it doesn't matter where you're at. The Muslims have no manners, no patience, and no just sense when it comes to public places, public transportation, and being in a group. Even getting in and out of the masajid, it's like they will literally run you over, only to go outside and stand and have a conversation.
Yep.
It's like, listen, I'm sorry. In America, Western countries, you go to a store. I mean, listen, I went, what's the raggedy, I'm sorry, not raggedy, but what's the chicken place? Al Bake or whatever it is. Okay. I'm standing there in line and I'm thinking, okay, we'll just walk up, get in line, next person, whatever. And this is like, they literally just, instead of making a line, it was just a mass of people just shouting and trying. I'm like, so I had to literally just go into nigga mode basically, and just to get food. And I'm like, we shouldn't have to do this.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, in America, it doesn't matter how long the line is. It doesn't have everybody. They'll line up around the block.
Orderly.
At Popeyes. But even there, they will line up out in the cold. You see people waiting outside for Jordans or whatever they're doing, waiting for the new Call of Duty to drop. Even people who are uncivilized or uneducated or poor, whatever it might be, for some reason in America and in Western countries, we can line up and just wait patiently, just organize ourselves. And it seems like the Muslims should be able to do this better than anyone else, because we line up in rows for Salah 5 times a day. We do it flawlessly. But for whatever reason, out in the public, out in the wild, it's ridiculous. I don't know if you've experienced as bad as me, but I have I'm so jaded over this because it's ridiculous. I hate it.
I've been to like 3 or 4 Muslim countries in my time. I once had a train from Malaysia to Thailand for like 6 hours. This brother was sitting in my seat the whole train ride, and he would not get up. I was like, bro, this is my... He didn't even have a ticket. He was just sitting in the seat. I was like, I'll tell you, listen, from my seat. He was like, I'm sitting here. I was like, it's not your seat, brother. He would not move. I was like, all right.
I was on a 16, 18-hour flight, and the dude, man, I'm not even going to say where he was from, but it was from a Muslim country. Man, if you're going to be on an 18-hour flight next to somebody, please wear deodorant. Please, please. The smell was just like, it was penetrating. Just seriously, on a serious note, please, Muslims, we have to do better. It is something that is as nice and as hospitable as everyone talks about, how, even non-Muslim that go to Muslim countries talk about how, generous and how hospitable they are. But seriously, this is the last thing I'll say. Lining, when they say, okay, now it's time to board the flight. First class boards, people who in wheelchairs or whatever, then, families or whatever, they do it a certain way, right? Plus preferred, whatever, everybody else from every other country knows, okay, but for some reason, the people from the Muslim countries, they don't care what class they're in. They will try and they will bum rush the daggone ticket counter or whatever and try to get on the plane. And it's like, the people literally have to, even the Muslims are saying, listen, brothers and sisters, we're going to shut this plane down if y'all don't behave yourselves. So it's ridiculous, man. It's unfortunate, man. It's really unfortunate.
Also, just real quick to that point, have you ever tried leaving a masjid in America after Jummah? All right. That's all you need to know. Whenever you try to leave a package after Jummah, they're bombarding you, trying to run you over. It's just like, I'll tell you, can I get to my car, please?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Usually I'm stuck there. Usually I'm not running out right after. I usually get caught up in there. So
I pray by as soon as I call the Adin for a good 10, 10 minutes or so, and still it's like I'm about to die in this parking lot.
Yeah, they listen. They just gonna park anywhere, double park, triple park. It's like, even if the, like, one time the fire department had to be like, yo, if y'all keep parking like this, we shutting this joint down. So then they have a little parking attendant that kind of like would stop that at some places. But yeah, it's like, listen,
we have cops that like escort traffic and they still don't follow the cops. The cops are sitting there, traffic, maybe still inching up. It's like, sir, stop. Cops be hitting
yeah, man, listen, man, Muslims, we got to do better, man. We all brothers and sisters, okay? And listen, I know everybody, the American Muslims, we got lots of things that y'all can drag on us about. We'll take it. But listen, this is one thing that, though, yeah. Hey, yeah, let's do better. All right, next, what's this, John, man? Oh yeah, this guy. Oh, yeah. This loser. So, a pro-Israel gunman in Florida shoots 2 Israelis, mistaking them for Palestinians. And this is heartwarming. This is heartwarming because he blasted his own people, and the thing about it is he was happy about it. He was basically like, I did. He was like, yeah, he told the cops basically, yeah, I killed 2 Palestinians, and they were like, they're both alive, and they were Israelis. He's like, oh, damn. But I mean, look at him. It's just, it's. Go ahead.
This is what happens when you're not indigenous to a place. Is that you don't know what they actually look like.
Yeah, yeah, and this is supposed to be the Bani Israel. No, this is just a white dude who claimed to be Israeli, or he'd be a Zionist or whatever. But that's a story for another day. How all these
European right there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. That, just a European.
That's, all right. That's all it is. That is not nose.
Homeboy blasted his own people. Anyway, well, get here. Let him free. Keep on. He seems to be pointing in the right direction. All right, now, are you really ready for your heart to be warmed, brother?
Another person got packed up.
Yeah. They packed him up nicely. I seen the video, but I'm like, no, I'm not gonna play the video. I'm not gonna get our channel taken down. But there is a video. But yeah, they packed this boy up nicely. So the world's first openly gay man shot dead in South Africa. I mean, wow. Mohsen Hendricks.
What the hell did you think was gonna happen to your dumbass, right? When you came out as not just gay, right? A gay Muslim is a crazy
and an imam.
A crazy thing to be as a whole. But a gay Muslim imam?
Yeah.
You knew for sure you was cooked. There was no way you thought, yo, I'm gonna be alive after this.
Yeah. I mean, listen, sent him gave him a one-way ticket to the promised land. I mean, so seriously, anybody who is thinking of being an imam, know that there's a lot of, everybody's going to be, you're going to have a lot more eyes and ears and people watching you. But if you plan on being an openly gay imam, it's a lot of pressure and a lot of attention, I would say. And, most likely a similar thing, would happen. So I say that just don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want to say something that's gonna get. I don't want to get our channel taken down, but because you can't say too many things. But I would say for everybody's safety, it's probably the wrong way to go. I would pick a different religion if you want to try to be an openly gay religious leader. Choose a different one,
like Christianity or something, because openly gay and imam is an oxymoron. So just avoid that. It's like being skinny fat or whatever the hell.
And so this other side, it was interesting because I think
cleric In Cape Town, he was in the capital. Oh no, he not smart.
Yeah. I would, maybe like we have to do like maybe if we do Patreon or something, we would show the video and actually discuss it. It really actually it was well done, well done. Well done. Well done.
Shout out to Yoni.
I mean, listen, I'm sure. Listen, put it this way: we'll finish with a dua. We ask Allah to give this guy exactly what he has earned and what he deserves. And we know that Allah is the most just. So that's pretty much what we got for today. I don't know if you got anything to add there, Sheikh. But
extra.
Alhamdulillah. All right. Well, that's some news. If anybody has any news or stories or anything that they want us to cover, we'll do it. You can send it in to I think at the email, just email at R2F or whatever. Yeah, we'll look at it and we'll discuss it. So we appreciate everyone that does tune into the channel. And continue to do so. We're doing a little bit different content, and we're gonna do some more things, inshallah, to bring some benefit to the ummah, inshallah. So stick with us and help us and support us, and as best you can, and make dua for us, and we'll try to do right by the ummah, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. So. With that said, Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Good job, bro.